We'll talk about the dangers of self-righteousness. And this is something that I've personally gone up against. It has personally discouraged me. Talked to many people who have come up against it, only to end up being discouraged. And I've always spoken to our Creator about this. It's very frustrating and a subject that I believe it's a part of man's nature to take on a self-righteous kind of attitude once we feel like we've attained a certain mark or a certain height in our walk as a believer in our Messiah Yahushua. I want to encourage those of you who may be new to the faith, who may be coming up against self-righteousness. But the problem here, is a lot of you out there can relate to a self-righteous spirit. You can relate to being looked down upon. You can relate to big I and little you, and I am on this place of glory, and I am perfected, and I'm this and that, and you shall reach this level or else you are doomed. That type mentality. Self-righteousness, I like, what it says by definition is a feeling of moral superiority, and it's derived from a sense that one's beliefs, actions, or affiliations are of greater virtue than those of the average person. Once again, it says moral superiority derived from a sense that one's beliefs, actions, or affiliations are of greater virtue than those of the average person. Self-righteousness affects the believers as well. Throughout history in the Bible, in the scriptures, there were those who felt they were set apart even from the common believer. And this is where I say it's something within mankind that in their pursuing of perfecting themselves, in their pursuing of pleasing our Creator, they reach a certain point, and then it's like habit where they turn around and look down on those who aren't where they are or where they feel they are. And the scripture says, I always refer to the two most important commandments that Yahushua talked about, and one of them is love the Lord thy God with all your heart, soul, and mind. And he said that's the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like unto it. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. And from these two, we are supposed to produce our actions from those two. So in anything that you do, you're doing to the glory of Yahuwah, and to the edification and of your brethren, and it's done out of love. An example of this would be in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, NASB, New American Standard Bible. I'm reading from that version. I've read several, and they all say the same thing. But 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 23 through 33, it says, all things are lawful, but not all things are profitable. All things are lawful, but not all things edify. Let no one seek his own good, but that of his neighbor. Eat anything that is sold in the meat market without asking question for conscience sake. For the earth is Yahuwah's and all it contains. If one of the unbelievers invites you and you want to go, eat anything that is set before you without asking question for conscience sake. But on the other hand, if anyone says to you, this meat is sacrificed to idols, don't eat it for the sake of the one who informed you and for conscience sake. I mean not your own conscience, but the other man's. For why is my freedom judged by another man's conscience? If I partake with thankfulness, Why am I slandered concerning that for which I give thanks? Whether then you eat or drink or whatever you do, do all to the glory of Yahuwah. Give no offense either to the Jews or Greeks, or to the church of Yahuwah. Just as I also please men in all things, not seeking my own profit, but the profit of many, so that they may be saved. And what I get out of that is there's flexibility. There is purpose, flexibility, whenever you deal with your brethren. Okay? I was talking about food in this case, and I was talking about meat. And there are people now that believe that you should eat a certain meat, that you shouldn't eat certain meats and things like that. Okay? Then there's others that believe that, the earth is Yahuwah's and all that, and the fullness thereof. And so they believe they can eat any meat. Okay, in this case, it's saying here, you should do whatever it takes to edify your brother. And and in this, you fulfill that second commandment that Yahushua was teaching when he said, love thy neighbor as you love yourself. It didn't say that either side was wrong, but it said that you should edify your brother. So if eating that particular meat will make your brother stumble, don't eat it. Okay? On the other hand, if someone believes it's okay to eat it and they offer it to you, eat it. And give thanks for it. Now, a self-righteous person cannot understand that at all. The only thing a self-righteous mind can understand is, I guess, cause and effect. Just straight by the book. Okay, it says written here that you should not eat this and you should not eat that. There is absolutely no variance from this whatsoever. And if you do, you are hell-bound. That's the self-righteous type thinking. Whereas in this example, in the scriptures, there was some freedom. There was liberty. And I bring that up to say, in this inspired scripture,